radar that I think you should keep an eye on. Now we've got Scott Bauer. He's the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy. He's joining us for a look at a couple stocks that he's got his eye on and thinks that you should as well. Scott, thanks for joining us. Looks like the focus is back on retail today. Let's begin with LULU, up big on earnings, and it's giving a lift to Nike and Under Armour as well. Talk to us about what you're seeing in ticker symbol LULU.
Well, it was up a lot bigger, after the initial reaction this morning. It traded up over 180. We're back down off of that a little bit. And, to me, it was a bit of a surprising report from the guidance standpoint, Ben, just given all of the rhetoric and all of the risk, quite frankly, with the China tariff situation. Now, if we don't have an issue, if we wind up getting through this, if we wind up getting resolution, I love LULU to the upside, but I think you have to be cautious. Yes, their metrics were really good so far, but it's certainly a cautious trade moving forward.
Scott, you're not the only one. After spiking up to 182.89, that stock is right now trading 173, so they're up on the day still by 1.25, but I'm always a little bit skeptical when I see some selling coming into a nice spike like that. Obviously, we're seeing a little bit of profit taking there.
No doubt about it. And again, I think the initial spike up was not only because of the news that the metrics were really good, but also they really, laid out guidance that was pretty nice. However, again, taking a deeper dive into it, I think you have to be very, very, I don't want to say skeptical, but very cautious because of the China tariff issues. 2 weeks from now, we get through the G20. If maybe we get some sort of direction, some sort of resolution, different story, ball game on, and I love the upside.
All right, let's talk about another stock that's getting a bit of a lift today. Nike, currently trading 83.36, up on the day by, well, right around 0.75%. What are you seeing there in ticker symbol NKE?
There's some call buying coming in here. They have earnings coming out in a couple weeks. So, unlike LULU, which reported yesterday, Nike will have the G20 behind it if they're going to consider that at all in what they report in terms of guidance. Obviously, that's not going to affect the numbers that they report, but depending on what comes out of there, they may bring that into the discussion of future guidance. So again, I love Nike stock. If it weren't for the tariff situation, it probably wouldn't be trading where it is right now, but I would be absolutely bullish on this thing, but I'm just super cautious going into, the G20 and those earnings coming out.
Yeah, and again, another one that you're not alone on, Scott, after trading up to 90, that was right before earnings, as far as I remember. Last quarter, they sold off a little bit in reaction to, but ended up all the way down to 77. They've clawed their way back, but have really struggled with that upper level around the 88, 90 level. Now, let's move on because in addition to Nike, talk to us because we've got some other retailers that we should be keeping an eye on. You think that, remind me, was it Under Armour that you wanted to look at? I'm sorry.
Well, Under Armour is up as well, and I think that's on the heels of just some of the positive reports that have been out there. Again, I don't want to beat a dead horse here. I have to be overly cautious. That doesn't mean I'm bearish. It just means I'm overly cautious. And you know what? We'll get a good indication tomorrow morning. We got retail sales figures coming out tomorrow morning. We'll see what the macro climate is. But right now, retail in general is absolutely a stock-specific sector, right? There's stocks that we've seen like a Restoration Hardware that have just flown off the charts, and there's other ones that are really suffering.
Like a Nordstrom's, a JWN, some of those names.
No question.
All right, Scott, let's move on because if they're going to get this product out somewhere, they're going to need something to distribute it, some transportation method. Union Pacific lowered today on a downgrade after posting a new high in the first week of May up to 180. Looks like investors have had a one-track mind, and it's mostly on the sell side. UNP down again today by over 2%.
Yeah, it's down into the low 160s, and listen, I'm not an analyst. I think this analyst downgrade's a little bit late, might be a little overdone here. I think it's coming into oversold territory. I'm not saying jump in on the tracks here with both feet, but I like a UNP. I like some of the other transport companies here that are getting a little oversold here. And if the UNP really hits that 160-ish level, we're not too far away from there. I'm certainly going to be interested to look for some upside here.
All right, how about NSC, Norfolk? Talk because this one's come off the last couple days as well. It's back down 200 right now, and it's working its way towards the lower extreme of a range they've been in, 211 to the 190, 195 area, we'll call it.
Yeah, I think it's working right in concert with the downgrade that we saw in UNP.
Okay.
I don't see anything specific to Norfolk Southern, but that's another one also that, breaks down below that 200 and comes really down to that lower range that you were just talking about. I think you have to be interested to nibble a little bit to the upside.
Scott, I mean, imagine, again, a company like NSC, we're talking UNP, and CSX. These are really bellwethers in many ways for the health and well-being of the consumer, the U.S. economy, the economy in general for the most part. Talk to us, because CSX also slightly lower here today in a very similar situation. They've been kind of range-bound, it looks like 72.50, 73 to about 81. I'd imagine they're just kind of on the same track here in terms of some of the weakness here and some of the slight price decay that we're seeing in reaction to UNP.
Yeah, no doubt about it. But, listen, there definitely is some overriding risk that the economy is slowing down a little bit. We got some, weaker manufacturing numbers. I don't foresee that really taking hold, though, unless this tariff issue just gets protracted on into the fall. I think, yes, we've seen slowdown, which obviously is not really good, not indicative for the upside for the transportation sector. But I think we're coming to levels here where, at least for the short run, again, unless things really explode poorly with China here, that I think there's some really good opportunity to the upside.
All right, we've got a chart up here. We can see Norfolk Southern, talking NSC, outperforming the rest for the most part this year, doing very well, and they're all up here. So again, a good year for them. We'll certainly keep an eye on them, especially with the retail sales numbers tomorrow. Potential to see these stocks on the move, especially the retailers. Scott, really appreciate you joining us here for a look at a handful of some big names that we should keep our eye on into the close tomorrow, certainly, and into next week as well. Traders at Scott Bauer. He's the CEO of Prosper Trading Academy, and joining us here on Midday Movers.